the Ministry of Tourism and Hospitality is conducting consultative meetings for a new proposed bill which seeks to reform the country's tourism sector. Speaking at the meeting in Bulawayo yesterday, Tourism and Hospitality Minister Barbara Rodzi said the consultation is meant to gather input from stakeholders as the government works to update the tourism laws and regulations.
And we know that the strategies for Vision 2030 speaks to not leaving anyone, no place and no one behind. This is why you see us when we are going around the country. Some people think we are crazy. But to achieve an upper middle income, it means inclusivity. Going to every corner of the country, involving everyone in the society. I'm happy some of us living with disabilities are represented here. The youths are represented. The women are represented. This is the reason why we looked at our current bill and thought it's not aligned and we need to unpack. Besides the practices that we all know are happening in tourism industry, besides also the shortcomings of the government through the ministry and the shortcomings of the operators, those are some of the things which are the need for us to amend this bill.
Now, the bill aims to address emerging trends and challenges in the industry, strengthen destination marketing and promotion, and establish a more enabling environment for tourism businesses to thrive.
The Foreign Tourism Act was drafted and enacted at a time when socio-economic and political dispensation of the country varied distinctly from what it is today. That's what I was trying to express. The new constitutional dispensation brought about changes which places emphasis on gender balance, transparency, accountability as principles of good governance and importance of socio-economic rights, to name a few. We know that when you complain that we don't know what is happening at ZTN, is lack of transparency, isn't it? And lack of accountability. We came to tell you that now we want to be very accountable and we want to be very transparent in everything that we do. And let's put it in the law.
Well, of course, there are several issues that need to be circumnavigated and addressed in Zimbabwe's tourism sector. We hit $1.3 billion in tourism receipts in 2018, which was a record. And in 2023, about $1 billion was generated from the sector. And it's one of those sectors that are low-hanging fruits for Zimbabwe, given Zimbabwe's historic tourism sites, the Victoria Falls, Kariba, the Eastern Highlands, which of course provide some beautiful scenes that should be able to generate more in as far as revenue is concerned for this particular economy. But there are sticking issues that need urgent address. The first one is that the ease of doing business in the sector needs urgent attention. Business players within that sector complain that there are multiple tax heads. In fact, tourism in Zimbabwe has the most tax heads, about 17 of them. You have to pay tax here, you pay tax there, you pay tax at the other portal, and there are about 17 of them, which makes it a very, very difficult mission for players within that particular sector. And so there is need to rejig the state of affairs where the sector is actually concerned. And of course, there is need to make more noise about Zimbabwe's tourism size. sites and Zimbabwe's tourism facilities to ensure that we are able to lure tourists rather that come into the sector, and come up with some kind of packages such that when some of these tourists that come into the region, that visits Zambia, that visits South Africa, that there is an easy facilitation for them to be able to also pass through Zimbabwe. The transportation of tourism in Zimbabwe also remains a key subject of conversation. We need to revamp some of our old airports, and I'm reliably informed that with some of these mini landing ports that we've got in the country, they don't have lights for some of the aircraft to land at night, and so you cannot land in some of these landing ports in Zimbabwe beyond 5-6 p.m. because there are no lighting facilities at all. And so these are some of the concerns that need to be addressed if at all Zimbabwe is to gain the most out of its tourism sector. And then, of course, locals complain that it is cheaper to fly to Cape Town than it is to fly to Victoria Falls from Harare and spend, say, 7 days there. Some contend that it's cheaper to do 2 weeks in Zanzibar than it is to do 2 weeks in Victoria Falls for local tourists. And so question then becomes, how can we rejig the tourism jigsaw puzzle to encourage domestic tourism?
Konapo, ipapo pa ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.